The Better Willingboro podcast is a community affairs program that focuses its attention on all things Willingboro. It is hosted by MegaDemus and Major Moves. Welcome.
Greetings and salutations. You are now listening to the Better Willingboro Community Affairs, a podcast that focuses its attention on everything Willingboro. I am your co-host, Mr. Major. That brother right there, his name is Mega.
Peace.
Greetings. What's up, man?
Oh, yeah, it's been a minute. A lot of things have happened in the interim. Congratulations on you graduating and getting that master's. And
Thank you,
it's good to be here.
Indeed, it is good to be here. So we find ourselves returning right at the start of the election cycle for 2021 and off to the races.
Yes, the primary season is here. The primary will be June 8th. And there will be, at least on the Democratic side, there will be 4 candidates, two vying for 2 elected seats.
Yes, sir.
The 2 seats that are up are Councilman Nat Anderson and Councilwoman Rebecca Perrone.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2 challengers, Tanya Brown, and I believe we had stated that she's a former school board member, school board president, and Danya Jean Baptiste, who currently is employed at the WMUA and also on the planning board.
Yes. So we have 4 folks vying for 2 seats for the Democratic, what would you call that? For the Democratic submission to the general.
The
Democratic nomination for the general election. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
And I just wanted to say in Willingboro, with us being such a heavily Democratic town, in recent years, the Republicans haven't fielded a candidate in the general election, and so at the general election, there really hasn't been a challenge in recent years, but an independent could come along and be on the general election ballot. But recent years, who wins the primary is who ended up being in those seats, because
Correct.
there was an opposition in November during the general election.
And, I'm privy to some information that I think I'm clear to share at this time. There is an independent candidate who intends to be on the ballot come time for the general election. It's a former school board member and president. I believe he was a president for 4 terms on the school board. His name is Tony John, and he is a long-term Willingboro resident, software engineer, very knowledgeable about the community and has been active in the community. So he is running he's a Democrat, but he is running as a non-affiliated candidate in order to appear on the ballot this fall. So I anticipate you'll begin to hear and see more about Mr. John in the upcoming months, upcoming weeks. So
it's good to hear.
Yeah. Some competition, which is good. Competition is needed.
Yes.
We want to bring out some of the best ideas. We want to bring out more candidates if possible. So this is good. Let's talk about the forum that was held regarding council this week. What day was that? Tuesday?
That was Thursday. It was on Thursday, May 13th.
Okay.
And it was held by the PTAs, the local PTAs.
Yeah. It was held by the PTAs at the schools. Yep.
Yes. So yeah, and I applaud them for putting that together. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a forum. It would have been nice to see a debate, but I will. At least we got to see the candidates and their ideas presented and their quote unquote platforms.
Yeah.
And I say that because Tanya Brown had made a comment about not really about the platform, but more so, uh, what you can get accomplished. And I wish we had a good quote because I don't want to misquote anybody. But because I want to make an accurate assessment of what occurred during the forum.
Yes, indeed. I think if you're alluding to what I think you are, Ms. Brown was making the point that decisions are made by the council via majority. So, her platform notwithstanding, what really matters is the ability to work with your colleagues on council. Is that kind of a fair rephrasing of what point she was making?
Yes, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
All right. I believe that's the
But
point she was
she
kind of
she
making.
she it seems like I will say it did seem like she made the point of saying not really a platform because I believe that was the first question
Yeah.
after the introductions. What's your platform? And she it came from the angle that you're saying not so much platform, but working with your colleagues
Right.
to
Right.
get the things that you wish to accomplish accomplished.
Indeed. Indeed. Um, what was your take? What did you think about the actual presentation, the quality of the questions, the quality of the responses on from the candidates?
Well, there was I thought that for it, for it being, from my understanding, the first time that we're in the era of virtual, doing things virtually, and the first time that the PTAs are presenting it was good. I don't think that not everything was apparent to the public, such as question order or order of that everybody will be asked. I've heard people say that it seemed like Miss Councilwoman Perone uh, were getting the questions last. Yeah, and there was some other. It seemed that way. Also, uh, there, I don't know who vetted the questions, and there was just certain things that I think the public should have been privy of, or it would have helped if the public was privy of certain things. But in general, good presentation. A lot of the questions, I'll say this, and I don't want to, when I'm taking a cue from you, I don't want to be negative, but so for a lot of softer questions, but good questions, but more, not hardcore questions, except I think at the end, especially the questions that came from the public, some of those that got through seemed like they were very pointed and were looking for certain things and leading, and specifically the question about what do you have any to Jean Baptiste, Miss Jean Baptiste, uh, what relationships do you have with council members? That she, if
Now,
she has
I
relationships.
didn't really understand like that question. I thought it was poorly worded. So I'm not really certain what that question was attempting to extract, other than maybe some kind of a gotcha.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah,
you
yes,
know,
yes,
I submitted a couple of questions. They asked one. I was really concerned to see what the current council members saw as their premier or most significant um, outcome
yes.
that was done through their work. I don't believe that question was asked, and I wanted to see what the candidates, the non-incumbents, what they thought their main focus would be going in. It was clear from the exchanges that Miss Jean Baptiste is heavily focused on infrastructure. Roads and streets, those kinds of things that maybe don't have. all of the attention and fanfare, but definitely add to quality of life. And that was a consistent theme through her answers. Um,
Yes.
I found that Anderson is clearly the most polished diplomat. I'm sorry, diplomat is definitely the wrong word. He is the most polished politician among the group, and I found that his answers were um, quite prepared. Not that that's a bad thing, but that does lead to the point, which is the candidates, I guess, must have been given some of the questions in advance because clearly some of them, if not all of them, were reading or reciting their answers from a script. You know what I mean? So,
Yes. Well, I did, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I did inquire about that, and looking at a Facebook post by, uh, Dawu, which stated that all the candidates were given all five questions. So they were prior. So the five general questions, it seems that they were given to the candidates prior to the forum, but also those questions at the end where people could, I guess, send in questions. I think that was more the freestyle part.
okay. Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, but and I'm sorry for cutting you off once again, but I just wanted to jump in real quick. I do agree, and I think you touched on something to me, Miss Jean Baptiste. She had a constant theme and constant platform. Like she knows what she's focused on, and if there if there is a platform, she's the one who has to me the most solid platform. Like this is what I'm trying to do. Like
Yeah,
this is it.
yeah.
These are the things I'm trying to accomplish.
It was
And
apparent. It was
yeah,
apparent.
that was the parent.
And from the jump, that was kind of what she, I think, was attempting to get through. It's also consistent with what she's doing on the planning board side. Just full disclosure, I'm a member of the planning board, so I'm speaking not on behalf of the planning board, but I'm speaking from my understanding of the work that we're distributing amongst the committees on the planning board. So she's working in pursuit of those efforts that she is citing in her answers to the questions. Um,
Yes.
I thought Miss Brown had a couple of good answers. I think she understands kind of the nature of the interactions um, that will be required. So I
Yes.
think she had a pragmatic kind of approach to the questions. I think some of the questions that were not strong, I think she saw right through them and kind of set them aside, which I appreciated. Um, I really didn't, let me see, how can I say this? I don't think I heard anything from Councilwoman Perone that I remember as being, oh, okay, that's cool. So I'd have to go back and kind of review the presentation. And I think one of the things she did say is that she is not afraid of asking tough questions, and people, meaning that the constituents need a candidate who is unafraid to ask these tough questions. I think that's one of the things that did ring true in her responses.
Well,
So
I do want to touch on that for a second. I think that was in response from what I remember. That was in response from a question about the decorum of the meetings and why are things, uh, you know, so tension riddled. Uh, and I have my opinions on that, but we're talking about the forum. So her response is that she's not. But to me, it's two set. I feel like it's two separate things, and so it was a defensive answer to instead of saying, "Hey, I'm going to follow the rules and respect the chair." Um, you know, I'm not afraid to and there's nothing wrong with. I think anybody who sits in those seats should be able to say your opinion, even if it's not what the opinion the other four council members are.
Indeed, indeed.
But and so she's trying to me, I took it as she was trying to say, hey, it's only like that because I'm a free speaker and I'm going to say what I want to say, or about my opinion. But you can do that anyway. All council members can do that, but can you just can you respect the construct of what a council meeting is? Like, can you respect that? And I have my opinions on that, but that's not where we're at right
Yeah.
now. So to me, it was a defensive answer to excuse behavior that's not befitting of a council person.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, we've been through a couple of interesting meetings through the budget cycle for the council. We won't rehash that right now, but what you're talking about kind of touches some of those interactions that occurred on the budgetary meetings. So I hear you, and the folks that attended those meetings know what you're alluding to. So,
Yes, yes.
um,
So yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So the introduction was meaning like the candidates got to kind of interface with the public was a good thing. However, the turnout wasn't strong. And thankfully, the way we do it today allows for your presentation to be digitized and then placed on the social media platforms. But
yes.
on that evening, when there was an opportunity to um, ask your question, the turnout wasn't strong, and I'm not sure why. I don't know. Maybe it was because it's early in the season. Maybe it's because it wasn't. Um, maybe it wasn't promoted heavily. But one of the things that was kind of different and new was the requirement that you had to register to attend, and maybe that
Yeah.
had the effect of preventing more people from participating or watching the forum.
Yeah, but like you said, it's preserved so people could watch it later, which is good, and I respect that. They also streamed it on Facebook at the same time, and you just might allow me to remember something, but they streamed it on Facebook at the same time. So, and I know I shared it in a few groups, in a couple groups,
Hmm.
uh, and so I don't know the numbers of the people who were just watching at the same time. And I'm just 100 with you on this because of the first question. Like I said, I thought they did good for the first time, but I see why I see why you just do a panel when you're doing the Zoom meeting. Like I don't really want to see the rest of the residents. Like I realize I don't really. I would have appreciated just seeing the candidates and the panel who's presenting the questions because the residents didn't speak except for the icebreaker, and the icebreaker was cool and everything, but uh, that's the only time the residents were speaking, and I don't even think they were supposed to be speaking because they were saying the answers prior to being able to answer it on the survey.
Right,
So,
right.
but once again, I don't want to. I don't. I respect them. I'm glad they were able to put it together because the way our town is, and sometimes some people I believe don't want to expose candidates to uh, criticism or rigorous questioning. So we got really a big debate town. Like it's not like, hey, let's put our candidates out because you don't want to expose weaknesses in them, and
Also, I don't know if
it,
you need to because it's so heavily controlled by the Democrats that historically, and I'm saying historically, but my frame of reference is probably the last 5 or 6 years. So,
yes,
but in the last 5 or 6 years, pretty much whoever the incumbents were put up as you know as the candidates in the primary, and then expect more kind of came in, did a bit of an end around to that system, which was good, I think, for introducing new ideas and maybe new approaches. So Um,
Yeah, I agree. Uh, I agree, but I don't think that is. I wouldn't say it's not necessary to have a debate. It's just that I would word it like this: the Democratic committee usually don't want to have the debate. In fact, we didn't even have a debate here. And from my recollection, Expect More never had a debate. They were almost ignored by the Democratic committee
yeah, yeah,
until they won. In fact, of course, uh, Mayor Knock uh, petition their petition. Took them to court over the petition, saying it was invalid. But clearly, it was valid because they got on the ballot and they won.
right.
Uh, uh, but just for to your point, the last debate I remember was
Harry
Chris
Walker.
Walker and
Yeah,
Nat Anderson, Harry Walker, and Arrington.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That was four
yes,
four
that's
years
Elder
ago.
Arrington. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that was the closest we had that since I've been in it was a debate. But I do think debates are necessary. I would word it that necessary, not necessarily necessary, but helpful. Uh, but I feel like the Democratic community did because it's almost like giving credence. This is just my thinking. Giving credence to the challengers. Like if you have to debate, that means this is legitimate competition.
I
Like we're
got you.
legitimizing you by even allowing you to come to on this level.
Yeah, yeah.
I do feel I'm not in the Democratic committee. I'm not in the Democratic club, but I do like that. Yeah, I hate to put it this way that they allow the incumbents to partake in this forum. If
I
if,
got
if
you.
that was even something they could allow, like maybe I have a skewed look at the Democratic committee, but I do think they're over powerful in our town.
Well, aren't
And
are I think Miss Brown is a member of the committee. We know that
yes,
we know that the incumbents are both on the committee. I'm pretty sure Miss Perone's on the committee. I know Anderson's on the committee. I'm not sure if Miss Jean Baptiste is, but you know, if she is, that means that they're all committee folk. so so
yes,
it kind of, to your point, kind of makes sense for them all to show up.
I,
You know,
I, n- I
they're all
let me just
committee folk.
clarify my.
They're all committee folk in good standing.
Well, actually, from my understanding, Jean Baptiste not a committee member.
Oh,
Secondly,
okay.
let me be more clear of what I'm saying because no, I feel like from just from being around committee people will say there's a contingent in the committee that wishes to for lack of a better term, manipulate and keep or put who they wish to have in, where they're going.
Hmm.
Normally, they do want to just keep the incumbents.
Yeah.
I believe in this race, there's a contingent that wants Councilwoman Prone to stay on. It's not. There's a contingent inside the committee
Councilwoman
that
Perone,
want.
but not Anderson. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not sure about that side, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I'm going to,
So if that's the
this is
case,
our
why would like Miss Brown run? Because I'm pretty sure she's a committee person. You know what I
yes,
mean?
and I
So
believe
so she's privy to those conversations.
yes. Well, I don't, you're right. I believe she is privy to them, and I'll take
She
it
doesn't
fully.
agree clearly.
Well, why didn't she agree? Yeah, I believe they want to keep Perone on. This is my thinking, and it could be wrong because like it's just me putting together what I hear. So no one told me this, but I believe there's a movement to keep Perone on and to get Tanya on also. So yeah, I mean Tanya would agree. Like I'm not saying she would agree, but I do. I know she wants to get on, and I feel like there's a and you know what? I want to tie it all together. I do think there's probably a movement within the community that may not want Anderson, that they want time, that they would like Miss Brown to be on, they would like to keep Perone, and Danya is almost the enemy. They're trying to see if she's associated with other council people that they may not be. So,
Word.
hence the question: who do you have relationships, which doesn't make
Oh, I
sense
see.
because I would
Oh,
think all council people
of
would
course.
have.
It was.
Yes,
The question seemed. The question wasn't really a good question in my opinion. It just
yes.
really
So
was trying to highlight something that didn't. That's not obvious to people just trying to get information about what the candidates think they're going to bring to the
yes,
table.
or
But
yes, or as soon as you said somebody that they didn't like, oh, see, they have a relationship with this person, that
oh,
with
I
that
got
council
you.
person who we
All right.
don't like. That it was, I believe, it was a gotcha question, and and I think we all have to be careful of those undertones. In the questioning, because and I just want to, you reminded me of something else. I submitted questions also. They didn't mention that at all. Like I was like, when are they gonna say the Will Weston question,
Yeah.
or the mega question? But no, they didn't. They didn't say it, which is cool because I do think my one of my questions may have been too poignant,
Yeah.
to yeah,
What was that
yeah.
question though? Like, would you care to share it?
Yeah, it was. I had directed it to Councilwoman Prone, and I'm glad because I do want to try to be more, just open. I mean, I think I'll say this. I think Councilwoman Perone has proven herself. However you think about it, it's out there. Like if
Right.
it's out there. And
Right.
at the end of the day, you could even if you rock with her like that, like does she do the work? Does she do the work? Does she do the work? If you're going to I need to comb it with a fine tooth comb, etc. And all this. Then what have you found? What have
Right.
you done? What
Right.
have you changed because you found something?
Right.
As opposed to causing contention for contention to cause a distraction. So it's not about the issues. And I'm not saying what everybody does is right on there, but at least there should be a thought of let's move forward. What can we do to make things better?
Right. Right.
But I don't want to get, once again, I did want to touch on also, as you said before, I do think Nat Anderson. I thought this was his arena, the political arena of conveying ideas, and I thought he represented well here. So strictly from the forum standpoint, I can honestly say three of them did good. Like I thought Don Eugene Baptiste did the best, like presented herself the best and was consistent in message. As you said before, I do think Tanya Brown presented the idea like from a pragmatic standpoint. I've been on the school board. This is how you have to maneuver. And Nat Anderson was the politician in the sense like, hey, this is this and this. Although I did learn some things about him during the biography point.
Yeah.
And touching on Perone, just from my opinion, and I tried to look at it fairly, a lot of the answers were disjointed and didn't seem to be consistent and it seems like if
I would agree with that
like there's
assessment.
things I like we heard like there was a phone going off. You know what I mean? Like I'm just
Oh
I don't want to.
yeah, that's an
Yeah, like
important
so.
point. That's an important point. In fact, one of the moderators had mentioned, folks, please put your phone on silent. But the only time you could really hear the phone going off, and when I mean going off, I mean the thing was blowing up, was
Yeah,
when Perone was presenting. And that
yeah,
casts, I think, a negative light, because frankly it appears that she was being fed answers and or information, and that
yes,
part is, that's bad form. It's what is it? It's bad faith, right? But also it shows a weakness. This is all speculation, right? We don't know what's going on, but that thing, each time you heard that chirp, that chime, it was when she
hmm
was presenting or was coming, emanating from her screen.
yes.
So,
Her
so
her. I just wanted to say that her thing was lit up. Her box was lit up when you bloop bloop. The
yeah,
box was
right,
lit up on
right.
her.
So to
So that
me, that's an indication that there are people working behind the scenes to send her answers or information. I mean, like I said, it's speculation, but it was obvious, and it was
yes,
distracting. It was distracting.
it was like if you whoever it was, and at that point, residents, I couldn't yell something and it be on there at that
Right,
point.
right.
And so it's one of them, and you can see when somebody talk, the box will highlight, and when she was talking, bloop, bloop, just constant, periodically getting, I guess, receiving. I'm thinking even if you got down like that, you put on vibrate. Now, to bolster this point, because I do want to state, I'm trying to be fair, because I think people think I'm so biased, but it's the same thing that happens during a council meeting with her. Like, it's not like it's just this. If you see her on council meetings, it's the same thing. Not only on council meetings, she turns off her camera, and then it's back, and then it's with a point, and then if somebody says something. But I'm just saying that to bolster the point for this, that it does seem like there's some. Am I honest? Because I did think about this, and I feel like, she comes with something, or I don't want to say, let's say it's her own thought, or hey, I want this. If somebody comes back with something different, or some different facts, or the facts, the
Mm-hmm.
thinking on her feet part isn't. The thoughts become jumbled, and then maybe it turns into another point.
Hmm.
And I would implore people who hear this, who maybe like, oh no, look, just look at the tape. Like, go back. It's all there. If you have some time, please go back to the forum or at recent council meetings. See her speak. Maybe something else is said. Dark, dark camera, back, something else. It just seems like what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't,
Yeah, that part was a little that was something that you pick up during the meeting and you're just like, hmm. But I just found it to be very distracting, because
yes.
I'm trying to get information. So, yeah, shout out to the PTA organizations for putting that together. Um, I didn't find out about it to the last minute, so I don't know if there's some groups that I need to be a part of when this information is shared. But I was happy to be able to catch it and present. There is a Facebook group where you can post and get a lot of this information that we talk about here. It's called the Better Willingboro. It's not the only dope group as it relates to Willingboro community affairs, but we really are content centric. We really are about trying to be unbiased when we're presenting information. We really do try to present all the information that we can. Um, and if there are issues around the information, we'll make those corrections or changes. So I would encourage you, if you pick this podcast up, check us out on Facebook, because that's where a lot of this other stuff is. And Will does a lot of that heavy lifting, um, for the most part, on the social media management stuff. And I try to help as much as I can there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Uh, with the Better Willowboro, and I appreciate you, Major, because I feel like I sometimes you know uh, I can have the tendency to lean a little, have a little bit of bias, and I will say this just for my own sake. If there is bias, I'm not going to lie for the bias. Like, I'm not going to be biased and like, oh, let me make up some
Right. It's
facts.
it's fully
Uh,
disclosed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, please disclose this is what's going on. And I do, but one thing that does bother me, that does happen in these Willingboro groups. I mean, in some Willingboro groups, and definitely don't try to do this in a Better Willingboro.
Before you
But
say this, may I
yes,
please? Yeah, you're right. I don't mean to step on your point. All groups are not created equal. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean?
yes,
That's all I'm gonna
yes,
say. Our
yes.
content
And
is.
then I'm not going to mention. I'm not only make room. I'm going to mention is a Better Willingboro. But I will say there's other groups that they're not facts. They're not facts, and they use the philosophy of, excuse me, and we can return to the forum. But you know who does this also? Councilwoman Perone, where you accuse somebody. It's like, hey Bob, why are you still beating your wife? Like, Bob's not beating his wife, but you're accusing him of it, so
Mm.
the thought is there. So it's
What,
that type
what's that
of
called? Gaslighting.
gaslighting.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's called. You see, I don't even know what that was called.
Yeah.
But it's you're accusing somebody of something that's that they're not even thinking about doing, or it's not true, and then but it's out there for people to be like, oh, and then the way, especially social media, is people be like, "Oh, Bob's beating his wife," or "Oh,
Yeah.
that's true." "Oh, they're
Yeah.
really trying to do this," or things are more nuanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just for the and I'm just going to say real quick. I'm going to get back to the forum, but just so people understand, an example of this is like they voted for raises. Okay, it was in the budget. It also, the raises were in the budget. It was That's how it was presented, but it was presented that way because it's been an ordinance that's been an ordinance for years. Like it wasn't something brand new. In fact, the previous councils put this in,
So
and they
so let's insert a clarification here on what an
yes,
ordinance is. An ordinance is your law, is your local municipal law that governs how the council behaves, right? So an ordinance basically provides a 2% increase for council members every year. All right, carry on.
yes, yes, and the 2% to go with cost of living. So it's not like, hey, let's try to just take it from the town, but a previous council put this law ordinance in that every year there'd be a 2% increase, and it's not just the it wasn't just to the council. It was also to the I guess a few of the directors, about 19 positions,
Right.
and so to actually change this, you would have to change the law or change the ordinance, which is a different procedure than just a resolution.
And
It's the
and
first reading.
yeah, you change it, but it's a process that you can go through to underscore the fact that you think that it's not okay. Yeah, if you have a problem with this particular ordinance as a council member, you have a recourse or a mechanism to solve this problem.
Yes.
Not just complain about it. You know what
Yes, not just complain and cast aspersions. You voted for such and such.
I mean?
You
Right.
voted for this, and apparently you took it too. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Right.
like you're like here. I'm going to stand in solidarity with the people here, and even that.
For me,
Well,
that becomes extremely frustrating because it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of the taxpayers' time because you actually aren't dealing with matters. You're spinning
yeah,
your wheels over, theater. You know, it's
yeah,
very frustrating. We saw it during budget season. The whole
yeah,
software debacle, the financial software debacle. It's
yes.
just a mess.
Taking up major time of the meeting. Now,
Hours.
what I'll say is there's a way to approach the ordinance that wasn't there's a way to approach it. I'm not even saying, hey guys, let's work on this ordinance, or maybe by next year we could get this changed because X, Y, Z people suffer, whatever. Even though it was, I don't know what $2,000 for the council meeting. Like that's what it totaled because of how much the council makes. And that's all five of them.
Yeah.
So, in saying that, uh, I saw the same behavior, a little more restrained by Councilwoman Perone during the forum, but like I just think some of the answers weren't as consistent or a little jumbled. And as I said before, I think everybody else did a did a good. I'm gonna say good to fair job.
Yeah. 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 I think that's fair feedback. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it game changing for him, but I think it was a nice introduction to the public, and it's probably a nice way to start off this part of the campaign cycle because there is some competition. These guys have to go out there and let people know that they're, meaning like the non-incumbents, have to go
Yeah,
out there and let them know that they're on the ballot. Um, if you're not a Democrat, you can't vote. So because it's an off year, I'm wondering what the turnout is going to be like for the primary. But
well, if you would allow me to interject,
absolutely,
it
that's what we
it
do here.
it is a governor's race, and following the governor, like at least with the on Facebook, there, he's a firebrand in a sense. Like, people are excited about him. They're either excited for him or excited against him. So I do think there will be, at least in New Jersey. See, I would say in New Jersey we might get a bump because it is the gubernatorial race,
Yeah, I
and
haven't even heard who's running against the governor though. There's no one
I
running
mean, I think
against
I've
the
heard. I
governor
mean,
in the primary
yeah.
though. There aren't any Democratic
Oh, okay,
gubernatorial.
okay. Well, I
In
see,
the
I
general,
see,
I
I
know it's
see.
coming, but I was referring specifically to the
Yes,
primary.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah. It's
yes.
gonna,
I don't know if he even has a.
it's gonna be fun. Come September, but in the primary, you just wonder how many Democrats in town are going to show up, and then
I see.
when they show up, who's going to vote off of the one or two ballot position. It's going to be interesting.
Yes,
So
and I will say I'm surprised that because of the things that we see in previous years, Harry Walker and Arrington way being in like column 7. I think expect more. I don't believe they were in column 2, but Danya Jean Baptiste and Tanya Brown column 2. Now there's a theory behind this, and I'll share it. I'll share it.
yeah,
But like I said, just and this is my opinion, and I don't mean anybody any harm, but I do think that there's, as I said before, a controlling contingent in the Democratic Committee who do who are pushing for Tanya Brown, and so hey, column 2.
yeah, yeah,
In fact, now and I did watch Schwartz, the county. What is she?
yeah. The county clerk is it called?
Yeah, the county clerk.
Yeah,
Yes. I did see them do define the ballot position, and it was just the vertical position. It wasn't the column, but so it's Tanya Brown then Danya Jean Baptiste below her.
yeah,
But I guess that was fair. I seen they did the little box and spun it around and picked out the names.
yeah,
But that's a thought, and there's just certain things that I've heard that have happened, and this is hearsay, so I could be completely wrong, but so I just want to put that up there. Like I'm not like this. I'm not going to be like I know it's like this, and this is how it is. I know that there is something, but if you look at the track record, Harry and Arrington, column 7, expect more was in column 2, but now you do column 2, and so hey, maybe it's all coincidence, fine. Like the but those type of things. Now there are some certain other things, and that's for another podcast that I can prove aren't coincidence. But but for today, we'll call it coincidence.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's
In fact, I do plan to drop the science on the other stuff, but for today,
we'll
coincidence.
focus on the forum.
Yeah, we start focusing on form. I mean, we can, if we, I don't know, we're going to talk about school board a little bit because,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's been
We got a couple minutes to jump in. I mean, that's really all that I really had to speak on regarding the council, unless you had anything else you wanted to cover. Um,
well, I mean, yeah, there's stuff that we could cover real quick. About the council and the things that's going to impact us as residents. And one big thing coming up June 1st is this automated trash thing,
mm,
and I'm not sure if you remember, which has been stated in previous years and even previous iterations of the council, but now it's finally here. My concern or my how it's being done could have been better. Like I'm not even gonna front on that. Like June 1st, we go into one container. Yeah, the container is as big as the recycling thing. It's good for me. I don't have a lot of people over here, but
yeah, yeah. That
but
rollout was kind of clunky. It kind of caught me off guard, and it wasn't obvious. And I'm not sure unless someone got a straight answer. It wasn't obvious that they're restricting pickup to one can. The 96-gallon can is a very large trash can. I happen to have two of them, and there are very few times when I don't have two trash cans on the curb. So I don't. I'm not cool with that. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that they can't pick up two. And frankly, I'd be willing to buy a can if needed. Um, however, um, I have more questions about that rollout. I did
Yes.
happen to see a recycle truck driving around, and it looks like a
Yes.
similar setup. So it's an automated truck. It's one guy in the truck, one driver. So it's not like someone on the hanging on the back of the truck, and he pulls up to the can, the arm goes out, dumps it, and he keeps it moving. But I happen to have two recycle cans, and they never have an issue with grabbing my cans. So
Oh, they do both.
they do both.
Good, 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 good to hear. Yes, good to hear. So yeah, so and I haven't, and I can't say that I've gotten the confirmation on one or two.
Yeah, my hope is that they pick up the cans. My frustration is that I just bought a brand new trash can, $100 trash can, and it's not the same kind. Like the recycled kind that I have is the
Yes,
same as the kind that they use apparently are going to be using for trash.
yes.
You can buy these off the rack. Like you can buy them. They're you just got to find a brand. But I just went out and bought a 96-gallon trash can from Home Depot. I think it's like $100, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it now because I don't. It doesn't work with their machine. It doesn't have the holes for the arms to go in and
I
grab it.
see.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so I didn't like that, and also it's just like, I don't know. I understand why they're doing it, right? It's pseudo automated. You got one guy. It was really kind of surprising to see the recycle truck because I'm kind of used to seeing a couple guys jumping off the back of the trash truck. But when I just happened to pay attention to it because, in light of this recent conversation about the new trash contract, I'm like, oh, there it is right there. That's what's going on right there.
Yes.
So
Yeah, same principle as the recycle truck.
yeah,
The little arm comes up, picks it up, dumps it.
yeah. So
And also, did you see the director of the public works, Mr. Richard Bevogel? Did you see his video?
I didn't watch it. I saw you presenting. I mean, I watched a couple minutes of it.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
you
I
know,
just was going to my point about that because this is why I think it was. I'm gonna use your word a little clunky. It was clunky. Uh, because he's mentioned composting and increasing recycling, but those type of things you can't jam in people that like 2 weeks before you changing over. Like it should have been 6 months of hey, we need to
yeah, yeah,
decrease our garbage. Hey, we can help you come compost. This is how you do it. Do this in your backyard, or maybe even some sort of tax break or some type of I
yeah.
don't know. The
All those are great
tickets or
ideas, great
yeah,
alternatives.
like if you compost, you could come to the Kennedy Center and go to the gym for free for a week or something, for a month or something like that. But he does mention it. He mentioned the composting and
I just
and
the other
and
thing is, I mean, maybe I haven't been, I know I have been fairly in and out because of everything that's going on, but I don't remember it coming through council. Like, I could recall previous instances where council kind of ratifies or the first they had a conversation and they talk about the new trash contract, but I don't recall this in the last year. So
uh
maybe it happened. I just don't remember it.
yeah, yeah, I believe it. I'll have to look into it. Like I haven't looked into the exact date that the resolution was presented. I believe the resolution was presented at the same time. It has been an ongoing conversation, and at least the way it was presented, how I remember with the continual rise of uh, trash contracts. Because I remember when Mayor Knock was, or at least when Councilman Knock was on the council, it
Yeah.
was. I remember him saying that it was so much, and they actually, there was a I believe Provocal prevented automated trash then, and one day we won't have to go to it. But at the same time, you're right. I don't remember a clear debate this year about it,
Yeah.
uh, or discussion. I don't remember clear discussion like, and there may have been. There's been so many things going on in the council meetings,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't recall at the same. But this is so big that yeah, this is something that, and it might even be worth paying a little more because of because of the quality of life in the residents. And when I say quality, I don't even mean quite more trash on the streets or anything, but quality of life. Like, hey, I got a trash man who can pick up this broken chair that doesn't fit in
Right.
my bed,
Right.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, I threw a couch out. I had my man off for 20. Like, yo, help me throw the yo. I
Exactly.
just,
We do that all the
like I
time. We
just,
do that all the
yeah,
time. I know y'all don't have to. I know this is a pain in the butt to take, and I know it might slow you down. So here's a couple bucks. And I've done that plenty of times. Yeah.
yeah. Like I waited for him. I heard him. I ran out when he was there. Helped him. Like he was like, and I busted up the couch. He was like, you don't even have to break this down. Like I would have just took it. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. So, not having that, and and this is just a neighborhood story. The people next door, they got grandkids. They be playing. Every time the trash truck, he humped a little, right, because they be playing outside. They
Yeah.
wave. They got a little relationship going on over there. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's cute. I know what it is. I hear it. I
Yeah.
look outside, kids playing with the chalk on the sidewalk, and the trash truck driving by.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's. Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a change, and I think there's gonna be some people that fuss about it. You bring one
Yeah,
can. I would have rather. I just bought. I don't know. It's probably
yeah. That's.
a lot of people with these old trash cans now, and I'm just
I
like,
don't want to edit,
yeah,
but I understand it could be a pain in the butt to edit. But yeah, this one I could tell it's not going
yeah,
to be something you could just fly in that thing.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but no, but back to the trash. No, like I said, the rollout. Uh, I talked to a resident too, but I spoke to him, and I think he said Mount Laurel, and Vincent. I know, his brother lives there,
Hmm.
and so basically, I can't exactly remember what town around us that does it, but they do it. It was hard to adjust. It was the adjustment was hard, but people are settling into it and getting used to doing the one trash can, the
Yeah,
one big tub thing.
yeah,
As I said before, I think we could do it. We could do it. I understand why the cost. At the same time, this should have, maybe this should have been gated into or segued into or transitioned, not this. All right, June 1st, you know
yeah. I
what
mean,
time it
it
is.
it definitely is a quality of life issue, and it actually detracts from quality of life for a lot of people. I happen to have
Yeah,
an unusually large household. But I would imagine the typical household, 196 gallon. I don't know. If you got a couple kids, maybe it's not enough. And it's not clear, but it doesn't seem like they're going to increase pickup. Like if they picked up twice a week or once every 10 days instead of, I'm sorry, once every 5 days instead of once every 7 days, so that this week is Monday and Thursday, but next week is only Wednesday or something like that. Um, that might help. That might be helpful, because now you kind of balancing it out. But for people to somehow have to figure out how to compress all their trash into two leaf bags, those supersized leaf bags, you know,
yeah,
it's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
so it
that's
does impact people negatively, and there's no trade off on the other side. One.
yeah, and if it is, it's hardly registerable. Like if you really want to get that, like, all right, so you're doing it should be less. You're saving some money here, but are we going to see it in reduced taxes
Right.
and that type of thing? But that's I think I think, and I believe it's happening because the not public safety, but the police department. I know that's a big budget item. Police department.
Yeah.
You know, hey, somehow we can get the most out of the least. Like be more efficient with the with what the revenue that the township brings in and how we spend things. But I believe communicating with council people and just going from the council meetings. Uh, I know that we have legacy lawsuits and things going on that are still dealing with things from the past that still have to be rectified.
Hmm.
And so all that, like unfortunately, it inflates our budget, and because of that, our taxes are so high, and what I'm paying these taxes, but what am I buying?
Yeah, yeah.
Is a question.
That's a fair question too. That's a fair question too. You know.
Yes.
So, um, yeah. What else you got on the council side before we segue over to school board?
That's the that's the biggest thing that on the council. Uh, yeah. Well, you know what? I will say that I did feel some kind of way about one of the council members on the last council meeting. I believe that was the last council meeting.
Hmm.
And
The what,
but
the budget
and
approval?
it's no, it wasn't the budget improvement. It was and I'm just gonna touch on it a second. Yeah, was it the budget? Was the last council meeting the budget approval?
It was May 8th, I think, right? Budget approval, I believe.
Okay, it
That's the
was
meeting where the budget was accepted and adopted, I believe.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, okay. May 13th, and today, no, what's today is the? I'm sorry, 15th. Well,
must have
there's a
May
couple things.
May 8th. Must have been May 4th. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was May 4th. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe you're right. I believe it was May 4th. So yes, well, and just touching on that, and I hate to harp on this council person, but okay, so you saying that you want to finally go to the budget, this, that, and get the admins to be able to see everything. Insight doesn't do it for you, and okay, you finally have access on the network. You gotta be on the network, but you finally have access. But nothing was presented after that, and you voted to approve the budget. Like, so we did all that, and you didn't. There was nothing to add, and
Right.
not only that, when
She voted against the capital budget though.
okay,
Yeah.
well, yes,
Then the next issue became the capital budget and the $2 million for effectively
yes,
infrastructure,
yes,
roads and bridges. Well, in our case, roads and sewer maintenance and fire
uh,
truck, amongst other things.
mold
Yeah,
remediation. I guess guns and
these are
supplies for the
big
police
ticket,
department, which
big ticket things.
yeah,
um,
well, but I like what Councilwoman McIntosh did. So, what don't you agree with?
yeah,
Okay, you agree with this. You agree with the mold remediation. You
yeah,
agree with that the police need guns. So we got $30,000, like $40,000 left. Like what? You're against this, but it wasn't $2 million of guns, and that's what I mean. It'll be a a blanket statement that isn't accurate thrown out, and then
right.
why are we doing this? And it's like a lack of. I'm just going to
Like
stop there.
the township manager called her out on it too because she kept even after they adopted the budget and they were referring and dealing with the capital budget, she kept going back to the football fields. And the
Yes.
township, the interim, the acting council manager, township manager said, "We presented a budget with the football field included, and you turned it down. You said no." So it was just like, my goodness, my goodness, why are you embarrassing yourself this way?
Yes, and it moves so fast. Like I think it moves so fast that she doesn't keep up, and like it's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and also, and the other part, and okay, because I can see maybe you have a lot of passion, but at least you have the answers. At least you have some ideas that like okay, and you're consistent.
Sure,
But
sure. And if you want to appear like, you're the fiscal conservative or you're the fiscally responsible one, that's fine. Document it with your outcomes. Don't
Yes.
belabor these meetings with foolishness. Like, show me what you did last year, and then your point is made. you know.
Yes, and be accurate. Don't say things that aren't not accurate. We'll say. Don't say things that are not accurate. Also, and also, but whatever way you do it, you should have a level of decorum. And and one of the residents stated, but there's a hierarchy. Like you recognize that the chair runs the meeting. You recognize that. So if there's a point of order, if there's a point of order,
Mm-hmm.
and you agree that you can only call a point of order if something was incorrect, but you never let that person express what it is, like you're in the wrong. Like you said a point of order can only be called if something's inaccurate. Now, or I'm going to be, and I'm going to stop here because I could go on about this type of stuff.
yeah, right.
But the statement, I'm paraphrasing the statement. The statement was made that Dr. Rogers was fired. That was there. So point of order is called, and
Right.
you know why
Dr.
point of
Rogers
order is
was
called?
not fired.
Because she was not fired.
Right.
She resigned.
A council
So
person should know that.
yes,
Was the
yes,
statement made by this same council person?
yes.
Oh
This is
wow.
the council person that we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
All right.
yes. So the she says it. She says that she doesn't allow the point of order to come and go. Like she keeps talking. She talks over Councilwoman Whitfield. She continues to the chair. Mayor Worthy tries to interject, gain control. I recognize Councilwoman Whitfield. Then it gets ignored. That gets ignored. She keeps going on, and and she said you can only do a point of order because of this, but and just assuming that there's no disagreement, but somebody just objects to it. You can't do a point of order if you object. Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, at some point, she allowed somebody else to say something. And then it stated that we didn't fire, the council didn't fire Dr. Rogers, but she resigned.
Right.
Count the councilwoman we're talking about, then states that we she was forced to resign because she was threatened with being fired. Now, and I implore the person listening to this who like, what's Megan talking about? Yeah, please listen to this council meeting. Please listen to this council meeting, and let me tell you something. If you don't realize that this alone, this alone should be enough for a censure or some type of action.
Right.
In fact, I believe this is just William Weston's opinion. I'm not a legal expert, but this is enough for I believe Dr. Rogers to bring something toward
Yeah.
like, and then when I say legally,
Yeah.
because you're saying she was forced to be fired. I mean, she was forced to resign because of being fired,
Right.
and it, I don't know if that's true, but if that was a conversation around that area, it was an executive session. And guess what? You're not supposed to be sharing what was said in the executive session, even if, which I don't think it.
Yeah, I mean
Whatever
it's a
that
personnel
conversation.
matter of a sensitive nature, addressed in the privacy and the coverage of executive session, and she's cracking the door, you know,
Yes.
allowing people to peek inside, which is a violation. And you're
Well,
absolutely
I can't.
right.
I see. I can't even say she's cracking the door because I don't even know if that's been said. I can't even trust
Right,
that
right.
that's been said
This
because
is
she
all
will bend
speculation.
it.
This is
Yes,
speculation.
but that what she's saying shouldn't be said. In any either you're lying or you're sharing things. Yeah, either you're lying, you're lying or you're sharing things that were in executive session that shouldn't be shared. So that's the type of things that has occurred during that meeting. So not only that the inconsistent voting, if you're strictly touting certain things.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. I'm 100 with you on that. Like, but the flip side of that is the damage that it does in terms of how it casts the community, you know, to folks inside the community, but also to folks outside the community. It just casts us in a horrible light when
Yes.
stuff like that comes about, and it's a kind of
It,
perceptual damage that's hard to get away from. Has a
yes.
lasting
And I
effect that
just
you
want
have
to
to
add
constantly
one more.
fight your way out of quicksand.
Yes. No, and I agree. It if you're from another, like, you could watch our, unfortunately, if you're from another town, you could watch our council meetings for entertainment. Like, oh, look, look at the train wreck, in a sense. Like, look
Yeah,
at
I'm
this.
saying, what if you're a developer who's thinking about building here and you see that foolishness?
Yes. Well, and I do want to add, and this is my last on this, and we can move on to, and I guess the school board, but if we have time, uh, and also she was responding to a resident during her council comments, and the resident had mentioned the Eric Berry case. That, hey, Councilwoman Perone was one of the people that voted to terminate uh, town manager Berry.
Right.
Well, that termination wasn't done right. It cost the town $275,000. Uh, yes, the township paid 100K. The other 175K, well, I believe, was paid in insurance. So, but in saying that, you said, yeah, we fired him because of his malfeasance. Like, we fired him because he was basically doing stuff wrong. Like, he was, you know, you're making accusations that aren't officially on the record. Like, you're saying things, you're defaming someone who there is no documentation, at least that I know of. If it is, it's hearsay, which doesn't count in the court of law. So I I do think that there's exposure to our township for lawsuits because of a few statements that were made.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard for me to really wrap my hands around the committee support. You know.
that part. Like, after these things, hey, look, I can understand if you believe what you said, I can understand some of it, as in, hey, no itemized budget. I can't, they're hiding this, that, and the third. Although you can meet with the manager and find out whatever information you want to find out. But okay. Uh, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just this continual things thrown out there. But okay, we can move to, 'cause I know you don't have all night. Neither do I. I would like to bake some cookies. So,
Word. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. So
so
I think the biggest thing for me on the school board side is that the teachers are working without a contract, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand why there's no progress on the contract talks. Yeah.
but I don't know. Like, on that one, I don't know. I wish, we had more. I wish I had more insight
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. I don't really. I used to. I guess since the Zoom stuff has taken over the school board side. I mean, I did check in the last couple of meetings, and seemed like a lot of housekeeping. There are a lot of resignations, and a lot of people kind of. It seems to be a fair amount of turnover in the district right now. I'm not sure what's driving that. Um, However, if they're getting rid of some dead weight or if they're getting rid of some bad employees, I'm okay with that. Again, I can't. I don't. I can tell you that based on what I have paid attention to, it does seem that there's a improvement in terms of management of affairs for the district. Um, but I'm curious to know how that translates into actual student achievement and outcomes. So we'll see about
Yes.
that. I don't get the sense that there's a whole lot of I don't want to say certain things. I don't get the sense that there's a whole lot of Taylor used to really. I guess the word, to borrow a phrase from a former board member, Taylor used to really be slick in how he talked. You know what I mean? So he was a slick talker.
Yes.
Um, 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 Dr. Hackett is not like that. She's a straight talker. I just don't know if what she's saying. Sometimes she comes across as like defensive, and sometimes she
Yes.
comes across as evasive. So I don't know if that's just her management style. She keeps her cards close to the vest. Um, but I don't get the sense that she's incompetent. Like I feel like, all right, this is definitely an improvement. But I am concerned about this year that these kids lost and how that translates into standardized testing scores, achievement, and outcomes. Man, how's that going to affect our district in the long term?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but
Well,
but yeah, go ahead.
there was a performance. Did you see the
I
performance?
I
A
listened to
performance
it.
presentation,
I
basically.
listened
Yeah.
to it.
Well.
It was thorough. It was thorough.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was presented to kind of create a baseline for us, because they did have to pull some data that went back more than just a year or two. Um, it was thorough. I thought it was decent,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I put
I
that on
was. I
Tribbett's
was.
shoulders, though. That was Doctor.
Okay.
Is Tribbett a doctor? I don't know.
I don't
That
know.
was on the curriculum person's shoulders. So I was like, all right, I
Okay.
get it. But I appreciated the presentation. I did appreciate it was far more. Even though I didn't even have a visual, it was far more.
Oh. Okay.
It was
Yeah.
Taylor. Dr. Taylor used to bring visuals, and they would be just as confusing as the way he talked. You know what I mean? But without
Yes.
a
Well, I
visual,
would.
I was able to get kind of an idea of what Tribbett was presenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I just wanted to say that. And I thought Doctor Hackett presented it. I mean, I think Tribute started and then Dr. Hackett, but they did have a link to the actual report,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I followed along while looking at the visual.
Yeah, I
So
can't remember where I was, but I might have been driving. I mean, I was
it
listening,
made
but
you
yeah,
yeah, it made sense, and it has, I guess, predicted growth for what you growth and actual where we are and that. So I thought it was good, and it wasn't all rainbows, but I thought it was good. Meaning that to me, it wasn't fluff like maybe more fluff filled. In fact, they didn't have any fluff from my standpoint of something maybe Dr. Taylor would have presented, but it's like this is where we are, this is where we improve, but we need to do better. Like that. That's the sense I got from listening and from watching.
yeah, yeah. Which
So
which is straight
yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
which is what we want from the jump anyway.
Yes, but
So
it does sound like there's a concern about how students will react to COVID, uh, be, in this time, and because of how education is,
yeah, yeah,
and the lack of being in school, uh, and I mean from the last meeting, I know that they're trying to get rid of. They voted not to extend Whitson's contract, the current food vendor.
hmm
I'm trying to think of anything else. I know they're still trying to. I believe they're still trying to get rid of some of the professionals, the solicitor or the previous solicitors. So yeah, it's those type of things are happening.
New board,
But
new ideas. They ask for new stuff. I get it. You know, they want
well, I
new
mean, well,
people to
Whitson's
work
just
with.
was here a year though. Like
Huh?
Winston wasn't here. Winston's the food vendor was only here a year. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I don't know if the food contracts are like year over year. Whitson's. I didn't even know the vendor's name. I know before that we had like a big name.
Airmark.
Yeah,
They had
Airmark. You know what I
Airmark.
mean?
Yes.
So I don't know why they moved away from Airmark, but it's always kind of funny to me. Funny is not the right word, but it's always kind of curious to me when the new food vendor comes in and then the parents say the food is jacked up and they take a picture and they put it on Facebook. We went to the
Yes.
same thing with Airmark. We went with the same thing with the people that was here before Airmark. It's kind of an interesting cycle. Interesting.
Yes.
It kind of happens.
Well, okay, I can't speak on the Airmark thing. From my understanding, it was 5 years and they couldn't extend the contract anymore. Like there's a rule that after 5 years you have to go back out to bid.
Oh, I see. I see.
So
Okay.
they had to
I got you.
do it.
I
From my
got you.
understanding on that one, yeah.
Yeah, Airmark, they would do the parties, the barbecues, and I don't know. I was just wondering, but now I know.
Yeah.
Bro, man, I think we ran
Oh
our
yeah. In fact, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just
yeah.
do your formal.
Yeah, nah, I think we bumping up against what I would like to make as our cap, which is about 80 minutes, and we're
Yes.
hitting that target right about now. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you rock your final credits, and then we'll sign off.
Oh no, it was enjoyable. Just talking about Willingboro. I enjoy talking about Willingboro. Sometimes I don't want to say too much. I don't want to just. I don't want to just put out anything, but I do want to. I like the relaxed nature of this conversation, and we're just two brothers who love the town and saying how we see it.
Indeed, indeed, and it's good to get back in the car and take this ride, and hopefully you'll ride with us as we continue to relay information and contextualize it through our lenses. Appreciate everything you do, brother Mega.
Yes.
So that's it. Better Willingboro's podcast hosted by two brothers, brother Major, brother Mega, and we just talking about what we see, and hopefully some of that will motivate you to get out and get involved on your own. Until next time,
The
peace.
Better Willingboro podcast is a community affairs program that focuses its attention on all things Willingboro. It is hosted by MegaDemus and Major Moves. Welcome.